The internet didn't just wake up today. It got slapped in the face. Because out of nowhere, with no warning and no context, leaked footage surfaced that instantly sent shockwaves through hip-hop, streaming culture, and social media at the exact same time. One blurry clip. One unmistakable face. And suddenly, everything people thought they knew about loyalty, fame, and power flipped upside down. This wasn't a rumor whispered in comment sections. This wasn't a he said, she said situation. This was moving images, frozen moments, and a vibe so incriminating that Twitter collectively screamed, "Wait, is that really who we think it is?" For weeks, fans had been focused on Cenat's sudden emotional shift. The mental health posts. The break from streaming. The quiet tone from a man known for non-stop energy. People brushed it off as burnout. Pressure. Fame fatigue. But now? Now the pieces are snapping together in the most brutal way possible. Because the timing of this footage is what makes it explosive. It didn't leak years later. It didn't surface after closure. It dropped while wounds were still open. Within minutes, timelines were on fire. Streamers paused mid-broadcast. Group chats exploded. Old clips were dragged back into the spotlight and rewatched with brand new suspicion. And then the name that turned confusion into chaos started trending alongside the footage, NBA Youngboy. That's when disbelief turned into panic. Because this wasn't just crossover drama. This was two worlds colliding in the messiest way imaginable. And here's the scariest part. Insiders are already saying this clip isn't even the worst one. The clip didn't arrive quietly. It detonated. Dropped into the timeline like a digital grenade with no caption, no context, just enough visibility to make everyone freeze mid-scroll. Grainy. Low-lit. Shot from an angle that screamed hidden phone. And yet, despite the blur, despite the shadows, people recognized the silhouettes instantly. Within minutes, accounts with millions of followers were quote-tweeting it in disbelief. Smaller pages were reposting it with sirens in the captions. Discord servers lit up. Twitch chat spammed the same question over and over again. Is that really NBA Youngboy? And is that really her? Because here's the thing insiders immediately pointed out. This wasn't a random woman. This wasn't a background face. This was someone the internet already knew, already watched, already associated with another man in plain sight. And that's what made the footage feel radioactive. The body language was too familiar. The proximity too close. The timing too wrong. People started slowing the video down frame by frame, enhancing the brightness, matching outfits to old Instagram posts, matching jewelry to live stream screenshots. It didn't take long before timelines that were never supposed to connect suddenly overlapped. What made it worse was when someone noticed the location. Or at least what they claimed was the location. A hotel lobby that looked suspiciously similar to one NBA Youngboy had been rumored to frequent during a brief travel window. A piece of wall art that matched a fan photo posted months earlier. A couch pattern that had shown up in the background of a now-deleted Instagram story. None of it confirmed. All of it convincing enough to make denial feel pointless. Then came the alleged messages. Not posted all at once. That would have been too obvious. They trickled out. One screenshot here. One voice note there. Burner accounts posting and deleting within minutes. Messages that read casual on the surface but intimate underneath. Inside jokes. References to gifts. To cars. To you know I got you. Screenshots that, if fake, were crafted with terrifying attention to detail. Timestamps lining up with nights Kai had gone offline. Nights he later admitted he was in his head. And that's when the mood shifted. Because people remembered those mental health posts. The tone change. The sudden seriousness from someone known for constant jokes and chaos. At the time, fans clowned him. Said he had money, fame, everything. What could he possibly be stressed about? Now those same posts were being replayed with captions that read he knew. Or worse, this was happening while he was breaking. Insiders started whispering that the footage wasn't the first warning sign. That tension had been building for months behind the scenes. That arguments over money weren't really about money. They were about effort. About expectations. About a lifestyle that suddenly felt just out of reach. And at the center of it all was the now infamous pink G-Wagon request. What once looked like a joke on stream was now being reframed as a turning point. A test. One Kai didn't pass, not because he couldn't afford it, but because he wouldn't play that game. According to people claiming proximity to the situation, things changed after that. Conversations got colder. Replies slower. Energy different. And that's allegedly when another name entered the picture more seriously. A name that didn't come with hesitation. A name that came with reputation. NBA Youngboy. A rapper known not just for music, but for being impulsive, generous, and unapologetic with money when he wants something. Someone for whom a six-figure car is a flex, not a sacrifice. The internet latched onto that narrative instantly. Maybe too instantly. Because once it took hold, everything started to fit too perfectly. Old clips of her singing his lyrics resurfaced. Comments calling him BAE that were once brushed off as fan energy suddenly felt loaded. Likes on posts people never noticed before became evidence. Even coincidences were treated like confessions. Then the first alleged confrontation leaked. Not on video. In text. A supposed insider claimed Kai saw something before the footage went viral. That he confronted her privately. That voices were raised. Tears spilled. Phone slammed down. The account disappeared minutes later, but the damage stuck. Especially when Kai posted that now infamous tweet saying he was single and done with relationships entirely. No explanation. No context. Just finality. That one line hurt more than any accusation. Because people don't talk like that after a clean breakup. They talk like that when something breaks inside. Fellow streamers rallied instantly. Messages of support flooded in. Speed. Rage. Names everyone recognized, publicly telling him they loved him. That support made the silence from one side even louder. When she finally spoke, it didn't calm anything. It escalated it. She said she left. She said there was no cheating. She said the narrative was false. Defensive. Sharp. Almost panicked. The internet didn't hear innocence. It heard someone trying to outrun a story already faster than them. Especially since the footage was still circulating, impossible to fully erase. Then DJ Academics entered the chat without really entering it. Vague comments on stream. Saying he'd heard things. Saying not everything was public. Saying some stuff was crazy but not his place to say. That alone sent fans spiraling. Because Academics doesn't hint unless there's smoke. And where there's smoke, the internet assumes fire. As the clip continued to spread, reactions grew darker. Streamers joked nervously about locking their girls inside. Memes flew, but underneath the humor was real anxiety. Because this wasn't just celebrity drama anymore. This was about trust in a world where cameras never sleep and nothing stays private. And just when people thought they'd seen it all, another version of the footage surfaced. Shorter. Clearer. Less shadow. Enough clarity to erase plausible deniability. Twitter crashed under the weight of retweets. TikTok reaction videos hit millions of views in hours. People who had defended the situation went quiet. People who doubted suddenly stopped doubting. The most chilling detail came last. A user claimed the timestamp overlapped with a day Kai was live earlier than usual, cheerful on stream, completely unaware of what was allegedly happening hours later. That claim, real or not, shattered something in the audience. Because if true, it meant this wasn't just overlap. It was deception. Kai disappeared completely after that. No streams. No posts. No cryptic messages. Just absence. And in internet culture, absence speaks louder than any rant. Every emoji suddenly meant something. Every deleted story became suspicious. And in the middle of it all sat that leaked footage, looping endlessly, daring anyone to explain it away. Then came the second wave. Not video this time. Audio. A muffled voice note that surfaced on a burner account at 3 in the morning, posted without commentary and deleted 10 minutes later. But 10 minutes was enough. Screen recordings spread like wildfire. The voice, distorted but confident, joked about moving different when you're not appreciated. It referenced gifts without naming them. Some people talk, others just do. The internet latched onto that line like it was scripture. Was it real? No one could prove it. Did it sound like NBA Youngboy? Enough to keep people arguing for days. At the same time, screenshots began circulating that allegedly showed private DMs from weeks before the breakup. Conversations that felt too familiar, too comfortable. One message referenced waiting till after the holidays. Another mentioned keeping it low because eyes are everywhere. Again, nothing confirmed. But the timing lined up just enough to make denial feel exhausting. Even people who wanted to stay neutral started saying the same thing, something isn't right. That's when the narrative around the pink G-Wagon mutated into something more sinister. It wasn't just a gift anymore. It became a symbol. According to an account claiming to be close to Kai's inner circle, the request triggered a major argument behind the scenes. Not because of the price, but because of what it represented. They claimed Kai felt like he was being tested, measured against other men, against a lifestyle instead of a relationship. That account alleged he said no not out of spite, but out of principle. And once that no landed, the dynamic never recovered. Insiders whispered that shortly after that argument, communication changed. Shorter replies. Longer gaps. A distance that money couldn't fix. And then, allegedly, another voice entered the picture offering everything with no hesitation. No debates. No boundaries. Just access. That's the part that hit hardest for fans. Because if true, it meant this wasn't about love fading. It was about replacement. Kai's mental health video resurfaced again, but this time it was treated like a timestamp. People pointed out his tone. His wording. How he talked about self-doubt and fear while the internet was convinced something was already unraveling behind the scenes. Clips of him saying he wanted to do more, be more, suddenly felt heartbreaking. Because the man talking didn't sound spoiled or ungrateful. He sounded overwhelmed. And now fans were asking if that pressure came from fame, or from betrayal he couldn't talk about yet. The streaming community fractured in real time. Some creators tried to stay neutral, urging people to wait for facts. Others leaned in hard, cracking jokes that didn't land the way they used to. A few openly admitted this was their nightmare scenario. One wrong move, one leaked moment, and everything you built could be questioned overnight. Twitch chats turned into therapy sessions mixed with speculation. People weren't just debating the footage anymore. They were projecting their own fears onto it. Then DJ Academics escalated things again. Not by revealing details, but by refusing to deny them. On a live stream, he smirked and said some situations are worse than the internet even knows. He claimed he warned people privately and left it at that. That was all it took. Because Academics has a reputation for knowing too much. His non-denial became fuel. Clips of his stream spread faster than the original footage. Comment sections filled with the same question, what hasn't come out yet? Behind the scenes, according to alleged insiders, legal conversations were happening. Takedown requests. Threats. Scrambling to contain something that refused to be contained. Every time a clip disappeared, 3 more re-uploads replaced it. The Streisand effect kicked in hard. People who hadn't even cared before now wanted to see what was being hidden. And the more resistance there was, the more convinced people became that the footage mattered. The woman at the center of it all tried to reclaim the narrative, but nothing stuck. Any post she made was flooded within seconds. Any denial was met with side-by-side screenshots and slowed-down clips. Silence didn't help. Speaking didn't help. The internet had already decided this was bigger than statements. This was about optics, timing, and patterns. Fair or not, perception had taken control. Then something unexpected happened. One of Kai's close friends went live and tried to calm the storm. He said Kai wasn't talking to anyone. That he was private. That people needed to stop acting like success makes you immune to heartbreak. That line hit. Because it reframed everything. This wasn't just about who did what. It was about a young man being publicly dissected while trying to process something deeply personal. Fans began shifting tone. Less jokes. More concern. People started asking if the internet was going too far. If leaking footage like this crossed a line no matter what the truth was. But by then, it was too late to put the toothpaste back in the tube. The clip was everywhere. Even people who didn't want to see it had seen it. NBA Youngboy silence grew louder by the day. No cryptic posts. No subtweets. Nothing. And that silence became its own statement. Some read it as guilt. Others read it as indifference. A few argued it was strategic. Let the internet burn itself out. But instead of fading, the story kept mutating. A third alleged leak was teased by multiple accounts. Not released. Just hinted at. Claims of a longer video. Clearer audio. Messages that would change everything. No proof, just promise. But the promise alone was enough to keep people glued to their screens. Because if there was more, it meant the narrative wasn't finished being written yet. Kai remained gone. No updates. No return stream. No reassurance. And in his absence, supporters started filling the void with theories, prayers, and concern. Some worried he was spiraling. Others hoped he was protecting his peace. Either way, his silence felt intentional. Like someone choosing restraint in a moment where lashing out would have been easy. And as the days dragged on, one unsettling idea became harder to ignore. This leak didn't feel accidental. It didn't feel like random clout chasing. It felt targeted. Timed. Like someone wanted maximum damage at the most vulnerable moment possible. Which raised the most dangerous question yet. If this was deliberate, who wanted to hurt who more? And what were they still holding back that hadn't seen the light yet? Because according to whispers growing louder by the hour, the next leak wouldn't just suggest betrayal. It would confirm it. By the time the third wave hit, nobody was pretending this was just internet noise anymore. The tone had changed. The jokes dried up. The memes slowed. What replaced them was a tight, anxious focus, like everyone sensed they were standing too close to something that could still explode. Insiders claimed conversations were happening in private that would never make it to the timeline. Phone calls. Closed-door meetings. People choosing words carefully because one wrong sentence could trigger another leak. Then the whispers turned specific. Multiple accounts, unconnected but eerily consistent, began hinting at the same thing. The leaked footage everyone had seen? That wasn't the most damaging piece. According to these so-called insiders, it was the cleanest piece. The one someone felt safest releasing first. They claimed there was longer footage, recorded earlier, showing clearer faces, clearer voices, and a context that erased any remaining grey area. Not just proximity. Not just vibes. Intent. The internet braced itself. Screenshots of countdown tweets circulated, then disappeared. Telegram links were teased but never dropped. Every refresh felt like waiting for bad news. And in the middle of it all, Kai was still gone. No return stream. No statement. No indirect jokes to soften the blow. Just silence. Fans who once demanded answers were now begging him not to read the comments at all. Behind the scenes, people close to him allegedly shifted from anger to protection mode. One source claimed Kai had seen things the public hadn't. Messages that confirmed suspicions he'd been trying to bury. Not because he was weak, but because he didn't want to turn his heartbreak into spectacle. Friends allegedly advising her to stay offline. But the internet didn't give her that mercy. Old interactions were dug up, not just with NBA Youngboy, but with other industry names. Nothing concrete. Just enough to keep suspicion alive. Fair or not, the narrative had hardened. And once a narrative hardens online, facts struggle to catch up. NBA Youngboy's silence began to feel less neutral and more calculated. Not defensive. Not reactive. Almost detached. Some fans argued that silence was his brand. Others claimed it was proof of confidence, that he didn't feel threatened by internet noise. But critics countered that the quiet looked like avoidance. That if there was nothing to hide, a denial would have been easy. The absence of one became its own kind of message. Then came the strangest twist yet. A clip surfaced from an old live stream, buried deep in archives, where Kai joked about loyalty and said, half laughing, that people switch up when someone flashes something shinier. At the time, it was nothing. Now it felt prophetic. That clip went viral overnight, reframed as foreshadowing. Fans started calling the entire saga a slow-motion setup, like warning signs had been there the whole time and nobody wanted to see them. Alleged insiders doubled down, claiming the pink G-Wagon was never really about the car. It was about leverage. About seeing how far someone would go, how fast, how unquestioning. When Kai hesitated, the power dynamic shifted. When someone else allegedly didn't hesitate, the decision became easier. If that was true, the betrayal wasn't impulsive. It was opportunistic. The most chilling rumor of all surfaced late one night and spread quietly before exploding everywhere at once. A source claimed the footage had been filmed by someone within arm's reach of the situation, not a random stranger. Someone who felt wronged. Someone who wanted control back. If that was true, then the leak wasn't clout chasing. It was revenge. And revenge leaks rarely stop at one drop. Fans began questioning the ethics of watching. Of sharing. Of participating. Some deleted posts. Others doubled down, arguing that public figures live by public scrutiny. The divide was sharp. One side demanded accountability. The other begged for humanity. Both sides felt justified. Meanwhile, Kai's name trended daily without him saying a word. Then, quietly, a friend of his posted something cryptic. Not a defense. Not an accusation. Just a reminder that the internet doesn't see the nights people don't sleep. The post didn't mention names. It didn't need to. Everyone knew who it was about. That single message softened the tone again, reminding people that beneath the theories and footage was a real person absorbing all of it in silence. According to those close to the situation, Kai had made a decision. Not about returning to streaming. Not about clearing his name. But about what kind of attention he would accept going forward. They claimed he refused to leak counter-evidence, even though he allegedly had it. Refused to weaponize private messages just to win public sympathy. That restraint earned him respect in some circles and frustration in others. The rumor mill, however, didn't slow down. If anything, it grew more aggressive. New claims suggested that brand partners were watching closely. That deals were being quietly reassessed. That the fallout extended beyond feelings and into real financial consequences. No confirmations. Just enough smoke to keep everyone watching. Then came the cliff edge moment. Multiple accounts began teasing the same thing again. A final leak. One that wouldn't just suggest overlap, but confirm timing down to the hour. One that would answer the question everyone was afraid to ask out loud. Did this happen before the relationship ended, or after? No clip dropped. No screenshot appeared. Just the promise. And that promise hung in the air like a threat. As the internet refreshed endlessly, one truth settled in. This story had already crossed the point of no return. Reputations were altered. Trust was broken. Silence had spoken louder than denial ever could. And somewhere, sitting on a phone or a hard drive, was whatever came next. The only question left was simple and terrifying.